So I'll also use the microphone because this is a tiny, tiny bit about hip-hop, a lot about technology, but more importantly, it's about technology as a media for social justice. So I'm going to talk about building a media lab to act as an incubator for exploring the use of technologies for social justice movements. And this is important because these movements are already starting to try to learn how to leverage technology in different ways, such as mobilizing communities or activists to engage around issues like Take Back the Tech, which use blogs and Twitters and other technology to bring awareness about violence against women. Another application that's gaining traction is citizen journalism. And one really cool example of that is Voces Mobiles, which is a project that's using the Drupal CMS to allow immigrant workers in LA to share their stories through cell phones. Visualization is not just for researchers at IU, it also helps us see communities, what they look like, and the issues that affect communities. So youth in the little village neighborhood of Chicago used a Google map to map toxins in their neighborhood and compare that to more privileged neighborhoods. And finally, technology is important because bombed out economies like the auto industry in Detroit are falling apart, and people need the skills and the mobilities to be makers in new productive economies where they can have mobility and power. But maybe technology is less important in applications and more important as metaphor, because it's something that people can do where they take a complex system and reimagine it or transform it to make new things, to make change. I think this quote explains why we're calling this project supercomputers, not because of the hardware architecture, but because they are super. They're a platform to explore awe-inspiring, awesome things. So, if anybody in this room has made things, and I assume that you have, you remember the first time that you used technology or whatever medium you're using to make things and made it do what you wanted it to do, or did something that surprised you and excited you. And mine was writing code in BASIC. But to do that, you need a platform. You need time on machines like this, which is what I had in my computer lab in 2nd grade and later at the public library, to experiment, to play, to make mistakes. But not everybody has that kind of access. So that's why we're building a media lab that's going to eventually live in Detroit, where people from all kinds of different backgrounds and with all kinds of different interests in the local economy and for social justice are going to use this lab and share their skills and abilities. This is going to start with recycled hardware, one, because it's green, which is the cool thing right now, right? But also because it's a model that people can replicate in their own organizations or homes. And it also ties in with that transformation metaphor. We're going to add free software, again, because it's cheap and people can get it in their organizations and in their homes without paying for licenses. And we're going to install a Linux distribution that has a lot of preloaded media creation applications. And finally, we're going to build this whole media lab in 3 days in a collaborative workspace at a conference with people from all different backgrounds and with all different levels of technology experience. This is from last year, where people are collaborating to build a low-power FM transmitter. And many of these people are people who have never soldered anything before. This is happening at something called the Allied Media Conference, which is happening in July in Detroit. And it's not only going to have hands-on workshops, but a lot of other content that deals with the intersection of media and social change. So I'm really here because I'm looking for something from y'all, and that's hardware, primarily. So things like computers. I really, really need network hardware to make this happen. And while these are resources that would come out of this community to go to Detroit, ultimately what comes back is a model to replicate this platform in Bloomington and hopefully other places. I'm also looking for mindshare. So, could you advance the slide? So I want to know what strategies and what experiences people have had transforming technology from being something that's oppressive or confusing and scary into something that's empowering and exciting, regardless of whether people identify as a geek. I also want to see people who've come up with demos, who've come up with things that are playful and exciting for people to engage in, whether it's building a multi-touchpad from a webcam, making hip-hop beats in open source beat maker, learning to become a programmer rather than just a computer user in a graphical language like Pure Data, or hacking your cheap game controller to control the program that you write in Pure Data. So if you have any experience and have done this teaching people, I would love to hear from you. So please, please, if you have hardware that you're trying to avail yourself of, or if you have experience sharing your skills and knowledge and passion with people, hit me back at email or via Twitter. I'd really love to hear where you're coming from. Thanks.